another episode of Morbid Visions. I am Morbid, and today we're going to talk about a special artist, someone who was just so unique and a just incredible style, who inspired lots of different visions, a lot of stuff you've seen in movies. I'm talking about H.R. Giger. H.R. Giger was a Swiss-born artist. He resided in Switzerland. He worked from there in his studios, and eventually he was contacted by Hollywood, and he did a lot of design for different films. And his work was just so interesting and amazing. I've got his books, some of his books here. Come on. He was known for a certain style called biomechanical. This one doesn't actually display that as well as this one does. Necronomicon 2. Biomechanical, where the human features, the human body, has a layered, incredibly detailed effect to it, making skin almost look mechanical. The blending of mechanics and flesh was definitely a unique style that he had. He mostly worked with an airbrush. He worked with airbrushes, and was just helped give a really ethereal, surreal look to his work. And I mean, you look at his stuff, and it's just like, you wonder how he pulled off like so much detail with an airbrush. So that's the cover. That's the larger one. It actually flips over more, but I'm not gonna open up the whole thing. Just incredible. I mean, there's so much to look at. You look all through this thing, you find so many little fine details. Alright. Just look at the detail of this painting. What he would do, I don't know if so much on this one, but he would use stencils. He would create his own stencils, and airbrushing through the lines that would give like lots and lots of detail, lots of layers to the flesh look. Here's a shot of his inside of his studio. So he's got the very large. I think that's I think it's called Spell 2. That's the name of that painting. But it's interesting that he kind of like, he's got tables where it almost looks like he's got like ritualistic tables going on, which is pretty cool. Just gives him another air of mystique. But if the name H.R. Giger sounds familiar to you, but you don't think you know his work, or if you're not familiar, trust me, if you're into horror films, into sci-fi films, you know his work. How? Alien. This was his pinnacle piece that got him known to the world. This is how many people learned who H.R. Giger was. As the story goes, while in pre-production of Alien, Ridley Scott, he was trying to figure out what the alien was going to look like. They were trying to come up with a design, and they just weren't coming up with anything. And apparently a crew member or someone had H.R. Giger's Necronomicon either at home or whatever, and he brought it in, and he showed it to Ridley Scott. And Ridley Scott was flipping through the book, and he came across a certain painting, and as soon as he saw it, he was like, apparently he just went, "That's it. That's our alien right there." And that is the painting right there. So that's the painting that when Ridley Scott saw it, that gave birth to the Xenomorph. Still one of the scariest, in my opinion, one of the scariest creature effects ever created. It's so incredible. I mean, and of course, because of H.R. Giger, his talent, the way his mind worked, just the organic structure of that creature is just so much more intense than anything that's ever been on film before, or since, really. There is, I don't know, I don't think it's available for sale anywhere. I don't know if there's actually even like a Blu-ray or something that has. There's a documentary called Giger's Alien. Incredible footage. It's all about the process, and it tells the story about Ridley Scott seeing that painting. Shows them building the sets and everything, and all those sets, the sets inside the ship called the Derelict. That bizarre looking structure where it was almost like all the walls were like ribs. It almost looked like bone anatomy. That was all Giger. That was all his designs. The egg pods, that was Giger. There's footage showing him designing and creating like the first actual alien suit, or maybe it might have been some of the maybe it was like the animatronic alien that they used once in a while that wasn't actually worn by the suit actor. But yeah, he designed the whole thing. He used real bones. I think the skull, he used a real human skull inside that thing. It's his distinct little touches that made that creature so frightening and just so vicious looking. Other movies he's worked on, very interesting. Poltergeist 2. Very good. I mean, that movie gets mixed reviews. I like it a lot. I think it was actually a very cool movie. I mean, some of the family stuff gets a little cheesy, but the designs were incredible. Unfortunately, you only see this very briefly. I think it comes out of the ceiling in the house when it's being haunted. But this is one of the creations that he designed. So this is one of the entities that appears inside the house. Like I said, I think it drops from the ceiling. This painting is absolutely incredible. Of course, they didn't recreate this at all well or in the movie. I mean, how could you really? I mean, just look at that. It's just it's just so intensely frightening looking. I mean, those eyes are just inhumanly done. His mind was just... He created such incredible visions. I mean, even just the membrane. I mean, you look at that membrane sac over the entire entity is just amazing. I mean, I don't even know how he did that with an airbrush. I mean, I've tried doing airbrushing and I was terrible at it. And to see that amount of work and that incredible detail. Yes, here we go. The tequila worm creature that comes out from under the bed after Craig T. Nelson swallows the tequila worm and becomes possessed by it. He vomits this thing up, and this thing starts flopping around on the floor. So yeah, he designed all that. I mean, some people, Poltergeist 2 is alright, whatever. I mean, it contains one of the scariest creatures. The tequila worm is just so incredible. That might be all for... Yeah, that's it for... Oh, here's another movie he did. I've never seen this movie. I don't know if it's any good. If it's good, please tell me in the comments if it's worth tracking down. Movie Future Kill. He designed the poster art for it. This book's hard to handle. But, yes, movie Future Kill. He did that. If you've seen the movie Species, he designed the creature for that. A lot of the, some really cool, great designs in that movie. But then again, unfortunately, whatever the studio was thinking, or the director was thinking, they turned it into a cartoon at the end. I mean, they've got this Looney Tunes sill creature running around, just ruined the whole damn thing. But anyway, so yeah, he, excuse me. Alien was the main one he was known for. He did Poltergeist 2. Lots of designs for the movie Dune, which never happened. I think it was... He might have designed it. I think it was supposed to be in the 70s or so. Oh, this is actually something really cool. He just created furniture. Very interesting. I would love to own one of these things. But apparently, I just recently read that these large backed throne chairs, the biomechanical chairs, these were supposed to be thrones in his vision of the movie Dune that he was designing for. But the movie never happened, but he still made the furniture. He made all these furniture sets. This is just incredible. So apparently in Switzerland, there's Giger's Bar, and maybe half the place or whatever, these are what you sit in. It's these tables, these incredible chairs that you actually, when you go there to, I don't know if they serve food or anything, but when you go there to have a drink, you sit in these incredible chairs. I'd love to own a set of these things. I can't even imagine how much they must cost. But yeah, in Switzerland there is Giger's Bar, and I believe also the Giger Museum is in the same building. But, God, the amount of detail. I mean, this is just incredible. I folded this out. I don't even know how much of this you're actually going to see, but unbelievable paintings. The amount of design and just the imagination behind his paintings was phenomenal. Unlike anyone else, I can't think of anyone that even comes close to the stuff he does. He also did sculptures, furniture, did design. He did design work for many movies. Here's stuff from Dune, actually. I've never seen any of the versions of Dune, so I'm not quite sure what this is supposed to represent, if anything like this ended up in the movies. But yeah, lots of cool stuff there. Along with, actually this he recreated for Species. This was supposed to be like a transport system, I guess, in Dune, and he ended up making the skull train in Species. I think it's during a nightmare sequence. So this did actually end up getting recreated in a different format, well, different reimagined for the movie Species. So yeah, I love this thing. It's just so bizarre looking. I love that. It's incredible artwork. Actually, I was going to say I would love to own one of his original pieces. Would have been incredible, or just one of the canvases. But I do have a few of his posters, the reproductions that this company that puts the books out, Morpheus, they were selling posters way back in the day. They probably still do now, actually. He also did custom album cover work. He did album cover for Debbie Harry. He did Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which I actually saw that at a yard sale years ago. But I had very little money on me, and I ended up grabbing 2 albums from this guy. But he had the Emerson, Lake and Palmer one, and it opened up the first time I had ever seen it. But I was like, I should have grabbed it. I wanted to buy it, even though I was never going to listen to it. I wanted to have it just to have the Giger artwork. But another one, the band Celtic Frost from Switzerland commissioned artwork from him. So the album looks so small now compared to these books. So this is Celtic Frost to Megatherion, and I believe this is called Satan 1. I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, just very dark. I mean, this is a obviously very dark piece of artwork. Love it though. I mean, look at that skull. Look at the facial expression on that thing. I mean, it's frightening. It's just very intense, scary design. It also opens up, I think that one's called Victory or Victory 2. And what's interesting is actually, unfortunately, H.R. Giger died in 2014. So I have to consult some notes for the actual date. He died on May 12th, 2014, unfortunately. I remember seeing it when I came across it. I think it was on Facebook, and I saw the heading, and I was just like, no. Oh my God, really? Because it's just, with his passing, like, there's no one going to be, there'll never be another person like H.R. Giger. No, there's never going to be someone who has this incredible vision. I mean, he was just very unique, so unique. For quite a time frame there, Morpheus also, they put out calendars, which was really cool. So I think for like a good 15 years, every year I had the calendars. And they contain a lot of great artwork in here. Actually, he didn't just do airbrush stuff. As you see by this one, he did a lot of he did pastel work as well. So he actually did a lot of colorful stuff, which is so odd and different looking compared to, you know, the usual black and silver gray stuff, the airbrush work that he does. So yeah, he did have multiple styles. He would also, sometimes he would take like sculpture stuff or photography and incorporate it into his work. It's more really interesting. Just so much detail. You can sit there and just look at these paintings and just find all these different details all over the place. This is actually a drawing, but I know this was also a sculpture. He did a few of these as sculptures. So these actually full-size sculptures are in the Giger Museum. Oh, another album cover too. Wasn't done for them, but Carcass Heartwork. Carcass is Heartwork. That peace symbol with the vertebrae in the hands. That's H.R. Giger. They commissioned that piece for their album cover from H.R. Giger. Also, a long time ago, my sister, for Christmas, got me this H.R. Giger poster set, mini posters. Yeah, so it's some very interesting posters, but this one might bother some people, so viewer discretion advised, but look at that. That is just amazing. Complete nightmarish piece of work, but yeah, distinctly Giger. I guess he actually did some full-size sculptures of these baby heads as well. Let's see, what else is in here? His interpretation of Lord of the Rings. I'm pretty sure, I believe this is that might be Mordor or going into Mordor, but yeah. So he did Lord of the Rings paintings as well. Not for it. I think it was just him doing his own interpretations of it. And oh yeah, so what I was saying, so he passed away in 2014. I'm not quite sure how long of a time frame it was, but his assistant in Switzerland for probably like maybe 5 years or maybe longer, I'm not quite sure, but was actually Tom Warrior from Celtic Frost. Ended up becoming really, really good friends with H.R. Giger, and Tom Warrior was actually Giger's assistant. He would help him out in his studio and do business for him, which is, when I found that out, I'm like, that is really amazing. So yeah, it was great loss. When he passed away, that was a huge loss for just his artistic mind. Because, like I said, I've said it over and over again, but there was just never anyone like him, and there never will be. And not too long ago, I remembered about something about this book, about the H.R. Giger's Necronomicon. I was given this as a Christmas present by my parents, surprisingly. I think I'd give him the ad or the wherever it was, the information to be able to order this, and they actually ordered this for me for Christmas. And I remember opening it and seeing something odd inside, but I was just like, oh, well, all right, whatever. Didn't think much of it until years later, and then a couple of years ago, I'm like, I'm finally gonna research that, and I went online. I'm like, no way! Oh my God, that is absolutely amazing. This book is signed by H.R. Giger. So H.R. Giger actually signed this copy of this book. I compared it with ones on Google and other pictures, and it's exactly the same thing, same type of designs that he does. Like he even goes over here, he's drawing all sorts of different stuff on this. So apparently, when Morpheus was putting out this book, he must have signed a bunch of these things. I don't know how many he signed, but I got lucky enough. I have a signed copy by H.R. Giger, which just is mind-blowing. So much more now since he's no longer with us. But yeah, when these books were brand new, I think they went for $80, which it was expensive, but it actually is. It's a reasonable price for these things. I mean, they're oversized, heavy books, hardcover. And, there's at least 2 pieces of art that open up into larger posters. You can find these on eBay. I looked right before this. Some of them, doubled in price. You can actually, there's some listed for like $165. Some people, obviously, the usual idiots, they're selling signed ones for like $400 or whatever. But there's also some auctions. One was at like $67, and there was zero bids on it. So you could get lucky with certain auctions. But even, I mean, knowing these books are like, how old are these books? Actually 30 years old or so. So $150 for a 30-year-old art book from a deceased artist isn't really too unreasonable, I guess you could say. But yeah, if you really like the look of these things and you're a Giger fan, definitely I would really recommend buying one or two of these things because they're really cool. You can just look at, and there's also, it's not just photos too. I mean, it's got history. Introduction by Clive Barker, but we don't need to see that right now. Yeah, like right here. It's just him describing working with an airbrush. So he talks about the creation of different art pieces and what it took him to how he basically worked, really. So there's also a lot of stuff about his life and everything. And one of these, it shows he made a lot of short films back in the 60s, and there's photos from it. And there's an essay, like he describes all the short films he made and everything. So a lot of really interesting information in these. So yeah, H.R. Giger, in my opinion, for me, the greatest artist that ever lived. Just absolute, just nightmarish artwork, unlike anyone else. I mean, no one else even comes close. It's just simple, but it's horrific looking. I love it. It's so inspirational. So, obviously so inspirational that he inspired many filmmakers to commission him to design their movies because they wanted to have the ultimate imagery, and he was the man to go to. So, yeah, unfortunately no longer with us, but I just wanted to show off and celebrate an incredible artist. H.R. Giger was a one of a kind. Alright, thank you. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you did, and subscribe to Morbid Vision Films. Thank you.